golden glow of chandeliers sparkles above fine crystal glasses. Laughter drifts softly over clinking cutlery, and the scent of expensive truffle oil dances in the air. The Lumiere restaurant, Beverly Hills, a sanctuary of the elite where every detail screams luxury and where only the right kind of people are welcomed without question. The front doors glide open quietly, unnoticed by most. Keanu Reeves, dressed simply in worn jeans and a slightly wrinkled shirt, steps inside. No entourage, no announcement, just calm steps and a humble presence that seems almost out of place in a world dripping with excess. He walks past polished marble floors, pausing for a brief moment to appreciate the live piano playing in the corner. He approaches the front podium with his usual gentle smile. "Keanu, I'd like a table, please." Behind the podium stands Damien, the maitre d', immaculately groomed, eyes sharp. He doesn't recognize Keanu at first. What he does notice? The lack of designer labels, the absence of expensive cologne, and the quiet confidence that doesn't quite fit the glittering clientele he's used to. "Damien, sir, are you sure you're in the right place?" Keanu smiles softly, not taking the bait. "Keanu, yes. I'd like a quiet table if you have one available." Damien glances at the floor, scoffs slightly, and leans in. "Damien, we're fully booked tonight, for reservations, that is." A couple nearby chuckles. A server passing by raises a curious brow. Keanu remains still, composed, almost too calm for someone being insulted. What happens next will not only silence the laughter, it will leave everyone in the room utterly speechless. The maitre d', Damien, turns his gaze to the reservation list, his fingers tapping deliberately on the touchscreen. His posture stiffens further when he sees no name listed. "Damien, as I suspected, you don't appear to have a reservation." "Keanu, that's all right. I was hoping you might have a table available for walk-ins." "Damien, we don't normally entertain walk-ins, especially not this late." Damien's eyes slowly trail down Keanu's clothes. Worn boots, plain jacket, no designer watch, no hint of status. His judgment is quiet but loud enough in attitude. From across the room, diners begin to notice. Woman at table. Who let that guy in? Man across from her. Probably lost. He doesn't look like Lumiere material. Damien sighs and raises his hand. A young server walks over. "Damien, show this gentleman to the back, near the kitchen." The server glances at Keanu, then at Damien. He hesitates but nods. Server, "Right this way, sir." Keanu follows him through the heart of the restaurant. The soft music continues, but something shifts. Conversations hush, people stare, some whisper, a couple laugh behind their hands. Near the rear of the dining room, a senior waitress intercepts them. "Ashley, well, this must be your lucky night. We actually do have a table. Right next to the dish station. I'm sure it'll be just fine for you." She places the menu on the table with force, not bothering to hide her tone. "Keanu, thank you. I'm sure it will be perfect." "Ashley, just so we're clear, this isn't your typical burger joint. The cheapest thing here is probably the ice in your water." A few diners nearby chuckle, but Keanu remains completely composed. His silence doesn't mean weakness. It means control. He takes his seat, opens the menu slowly, and starts reading. No one knows who he is yet, but everyone has already judged him, and that mistake is about to cost them. The server who seated Keanu disappears quickly, almost as if embarrassed by what just happened. Moments later, Ashley returns to the table holding a small notepad. "Ashley, have you decided what you'd like, or would you prefer a recommendation?" "Keanu, this one looks good. I'll try the filet de rossini." Ashley raises her eyebrows slightly. She looks at Keanu for a moment, then glances down at the menu he's holding. "Ashley, just to confirm, sir, you do know this dish costs $350? Keanu, "Yes, it sounds wonderful." Ashley pauses for a beat before continuing. "Ashley, just making sure. We've had misunderstandings in the past. It's always best to be clear before the kitchen starts. She scribbles down the order, but her body language is dismissive. She doesn't offer him water. She doesn't ask if he wants anything else. She turns and walks away with visible disinterest. Across the dining room, a couple seated near the center watches quietly. Woman. He's being so polite. Why is she treating him like that? Man. Because she thinks he doesn't belong here. This is shameful. Ashley stops near the bar and starts chatting with another server. They laugh together, glancing briefly in Keanu's direction. Keanu sits silently, still reading the menu, still calm. 10 minutes pass, then 20. Plates are served around him, glasses are refilled, but his table remains untouched. Ashley finally returns, placing the appetizer in front of him without a word. Ashley, here's your appetizer. I hope you know what you're eating. Keanu looks at the plate, then back at her. Keanu, it looks excellent. Please thank the chefs for me. Ashley walks away without replying. A few feet away, she speaks to a co-worker in a lowered voice, but just loud enough for nearby guests to catch her words. Ashley. He won't even make it to the main course. I bet he'll ask for the check as soon as he sees the bill. She laughs, again. But Keanu says nothing. He takes his fork. He begins to eat, every bite, calm, every moment, collected. But beneath that silence, something is building. Ashley circles the dining room like royalty, every step measured, every glance sharpened. To her, Keanu is just a man occupying space he doesn't deserve. She stops by his table again, this time with a coffee cup on a small tray. Ashley, here's your coffee. I hope you're enjoying the experience so far. It's always interesting to see new kinds of people here. Her words are clear, but her meaning isn't hidden. Several nearby diners hear it and shift uncomfortably in their chairs. Keanu, thank you. I am. Ashley places the cup down and doesn't move away immediately. Her eyes scan the dining room, making sure she has an audience. Ashley. You know, this is why we usually require reservations. It helps us avoid certain situations, keeps the atmosphere consistent. A couple seated 2 tables away stops talking mid-sentence. A woman presses her hand to her chest. Woman. She's saying that out loud. Man. She's trying to humiliate him, in front of everyone. Ashley leans slightly forward toward Keanu. Ashley. Most of our guests come dressed for the occasion, but I suppose you like to stand out. Keanu looks up at her, his expression unchanged. Keanu. Is that a problem? Ashley gives no response. Instead, she lets the silence sit heavy in the air, then finally turns and walks away with satisfaction on her face. A few seconds later, 2 more servers approach nearby tables. They whisper quietly to their guests. Several heads turn toward Keanu. The murmurs grow louder. In the back corner, an older man in a navy suit observes the scene closely. He lifts his wine glass slightly, saluting Keanu from afar. Keanu nods in return, a soft smile on his lips. But the damage is done. Laughter, whispers, judging eyes. Ashley walks by one last time, speaking just loud enough to be heard. Ashley. He's still here. Unbelievable. At that moment, it's not just about one rude waitress anymore. It's about a room that silently allowed it. And still, Keanu doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't storm out. He sits in silence, the calm before the storm. The dining room buzzes with quiet discomfort. Silverware clinks nervously. Conversations falter, but at the back of the room, Keanu remains still, untouched by the noise around him. Then, a presence enters. From the far side of the restaurant, a man in a tailored charcoal suit walks in briskly. He pauses for a moment, scanning the room. His eyes lock onto one person. He walks directly toward Keanu's table. It's the restaurant manager, Mr. Reeves. I wasn't aware you were visiting us today. The dining room stills. Ashley, overhearing from across the room, freezes mid-step. Her face begins to drain of color. Keanu, I didn't want any special attention. Just a quiet meal. Manager, of course. Please accept my apologies for the service you've received. I assure you this is not how we treat our guests, especially not one of our own. Whispers ripple across the dining room. Guest at table. Did he say one of our own? Woman nearby. Wait, is he someone important? The manager gestures toward Ashley, who now approaches slowly, unsure of what's happening. Manager, would you mind stepping aside for a moment, please? Ashley swallows hard but doesn't speak. She steps back, her eyes locked on Keanu, confusion and dread written all over her face. Keanu, there's no need for a scene, but perhaps we should talk about how people are treated when they walk in unnoticed. The room goes silent again. This time, not out of judgment, but out of realization. Someone at a nearby table murmurs. Diner, I think. He owns the place. Another follows, their voice barely above a whisper. Diner 2. That's Keanu Reeves. Ashley finally understands. The man she tried to belittle, embarrass, and dismiss isn't just another guest. He's the man with the power to change everything. And suddenly, the entire room feels very small. Ashley stands rooted in place, her confidence melting under the weight of realization. The manager turns to her, his tone steady but filled with sharp authority. Manager, we'll discuss your behavior later. For now, you're relieved of this table. Ashley nods but doesn't move. Her voice finally emerges, thin and defensive. Ashley, I didn't know who he was. The manager's expression doesn't change. Manager, that's exactly the problem. He gestures for another server to take over. In the corner, diners pretend to return to their meals, but their eyes never leave Keanu's table. Keanu looks up from his coffee, his voice calm and low, yet it carries across the room. Keanu, it shouldn't take a name to earn respect. Everyone who walks through these doors deserves to be treated with dignity, no matter what they're wearing or where they come from. A silence falls again, but this time it's reflective. The earlier mockery has turned into uneasy admiration. The elderly gentleman from earlier raises his glass once more, this time with a quiet nod of respect. Ashley stares at Keanu, still trying to process everything. Ashley, I was only doing my job. I thought I was protecting the restaurant's image. Keanu, by turning away the very values this place was built on. She opens her mouth to respond, but no words come out. The weight of the truth sits heavy in the air. Keanu doesn't gloat. He doesn't lecture. He simply sits back, his gaze steady and thoughtful. The power in the room has shifted, not through shouting, not through revenge, but through presence. Ashley retreats quietly, her steps no longer confident, her pride beginning to unravel. But something deeper has been planted, the first seeds of change. And Keanu? He hasn't even stood up yet. The restaurant has quieted into a tense stillness. Forks rest untouched. Conversations have vanished. All eyes slowly shift back to one point in the room, the table in the corner, where Keanu Reeves sits calmly. The manager stands nearby, uneasy. He looks at Keanu, silently awaiting guidance. Keanu sets down his coffee cup and gently pushes back his chair. He rises slowly, deliberately. His voice doesn't need volume, only clarity. Keanu, before I go, I want to speak directly, not just to the staff, but to everyone here tonight. Guests sit up straighter. Even Ashley, who had tried to vanish into the shadows of the bar, lifts her head. Keanu, I walked into this restaurant hoping for a quiet meal. I didn't announce who I was because I didn't think I needed to. He pauses, his eyes scanning the room. No anger, just quiet strength. Keanu, but from the moment I entered, I was treated like I didn't belong, judged, dismissed, laughed at. He turns to Ashley. Keanu, you assumed I wasn't worthy of this place because of how I looked. Because I didn't wear a suit, because I came alone, and worst of all, because you believed no one was watching. Ashley swallows hard, unable to look away. Keanu. This restaurant was built on the idea of experience, hospitality, and warmth, not hierarchy, not vanity, not exclusion. He turns to the guests. Keanu. Many of you watched. Some of you laughed, but a few of you recognized what was happening and chose empathy instead of silence. The older man in the navy suit nods quietly. Keanu. Kindness shouldn't be reserved for the powerful. It should be offered to everyone, especially to those we least expect. The silence is absolute. Ashley, now fully exposed, shifts uncomfortably. Her arrogance has cracked, and behind it, the realization that she's no longer in control. The confrontation is over, but the lesson is just beginning. Ashley stands frozen near the bar. Her usual confidence is nowhere in sight. The arrogant posture is gone. What remains is a woman stripped of pretense, fully aware of how wrong she's been and of how many eyes are watching. The manager steps forward, standing next to Keanu. His voice is low but unwavering. Manager Ashley, after the dining room closes, I expect a full written report of your actions tonight. And going forward, you're suspended until further notice. Ashley's lips part, but no words come out. He doesn't wait for a response. He turns back to Keanu. Manager Mr. Reeves, I'm deeply sorry. This restaurant would not exist without your vision. Tonight does not reflect the standards you helped build. Keanu, it's not about me. It's about how people are made to feel. That's what matters. From across the room, a woman who had watched everything unfold raises her voice for the first time. Woman, thank you for saying what needed to be said. A round of nods follow. The tension begins to break, not with laughter, but with quiet relief. The guests aren't just eating anymore, they're listening and learning. Ashley finally speaks, her voice soft and shaky. Ashley, I didn't know who you were. I just thought, Keanu, you thought I was nobody, and that gave you permission to treat me like I didn't matter. Ashley looks down, the truth landing harder than anything else tonight. Keanu, the lesson isn't just for you, it's for all of us. We never really know who someone is until we choose to see them. There's no shouting, no dramatic walkout, just a quiet, deeply satisfying reckoning. Ashley steps away slowly. Her arrogance has dissolved into remorse. Around the room, guests look inward. The mood has shifted, not just from judgment to guilt, but from guilt to awareness. Tonight, justice didn't come from punishment. It came from truth, spoken with dignity, delivered by the one they all underestimated. The dining room slowly returns to motion. Glasses are lifted again, conversations resume, but something has changed. The mood is no longer shallow or elitist. It's reflective, humbled. Keanu walks through the restaurant. This time heads don't turn with mockery. They turn with respect. The manager stays close behind him, offering quiet apologies to the surrounding tables. Ashley, now seated in the staff break area, stares blankly at the floor. Her apron has been removed. Her voice is gone. What remains is the echo of her choices and the judgment of her own conscience. The other staff members whisper among themselves, but not with gossip. They're shaken, awakened. Keanu stops near the exit just before stepping out. He turns to the manager. Keanu, tonight was uncomfortable, but it was necessary. Manager, we failed you, and we failed our values. Keanu, then fix it, not for me, for the next person who walks in wearing old shoes and no reservation. The manager nods solemnly. Outside, the streets of Beverly Hills are glowing under the city lights. Keanu steps into the night with the same quiet grace he entered with. No announcement, no entourage. Inside, the restaurant is no longer the same. The couple who had once whispered with judgment now sit in silence, processing their own bias. The elderly man quietly finishes his wine, his eyes still on the door where Keanu disappeared. The staff gathers at the back as the manager begins to speak, a meeting already in motion, sparked by one man's patience and principles. And Ashley? She won't be returning to Lumiere. Her name has been removed from the schedule, her locker emptied, her reputation rewritten. She wasn't just dismissed from her job, she was dismissed from the illusion of superiority. Keanu never asked for justice. But justice found its way to him anyway. Later that night, the glow of the city reflects off the sidewalk as Keanu walks alone. No cameras, no entourage. Just a man, breathing in the cool evening air, grateful not for vengeance, but for truth. His steps are steady, unrushed. There is no pride in his victory, only clarity. Some would have reacted with rage. Others would have demanded headlines, apologies, and punishment. But Keanu, he chose something stronger. He chose to reveal the truth, without ever raising his voice. And that's what made it unforgettable. Backy. Inside the restaurant, the staff begins resetting the tables for the next day. But they do so with a different energy now, a quiet awareness. A new standard set, not by rules, but by one man's grace under fire. Some guests are still talking about what happened, not because it was loud, not because it was dramatic, but because it was honest. Because for the first time in a long time, someone reminded them that kindness is not a luxury, it's a choice, and dignity, that's not reserved for the wealthy, it's reserved for the human. Keanu never needed to prove who he was. He didn't need to wear power to own it, because real power is silent. It doesn't shout, it simply is. So the next time someone walks through a door, looking like they don't belong, pause, look again. Because the person you judge could be the very person who changes your life, or who owns the place you're standing in a world quick to label, quick to dismiss. Choose patience, choose humility, choose kindness, because the strongest people are the ones who never make you feel small. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories that touch the heart and challenge how we see the world.